Just hours after Tucker Carlson announced his new show on Twitter, the site's CEO Elon Musk made clear that there is no deal in place and urged people from both sides of the political spectrum to join the platform.
He even tweet replied to Don Lemon's post announcing his firing from CNN, saying, quote, "Have you considered doing your show on this platform? Maybe worth a try. Audience is much bigger." These comments from Musk might be an effort to keep Twitter from being seen as a solely right-wing platform. The announcement has caused liberals to sound the alarm that Musk is leading Twitter rightward, and not being able to curb Carlson's rhetoric could be a problem.
Media Matters senior fellow Matthew Gertz noted that Twitter's already wary advertisers are going to love paying to have their brand associated with Tucker Carlson. New York Congresswoman AOC tweeted, "Twitter brought to you by MyPillow and only MyPillow."
The New York Times' Taylor Loren said, "This makes it even more clear what sort of ideology Musk is pushing." And finally, here's former CNN anchor Brian Stelter on MSNBC.
Okay, well, listen, Twitter was already under fire from misinformation, disinformation, all-out lies, anti-Semitism, racism before Elon Musk took over, and now it's gotten kind of crazy, right? Seemingly unmoored, if you will. Will anybody be able to police what Carlson says, or is this the point? It's just a free-for-all.
I think this is the point. It is a free-for-all. It's what Elon Musk wants to provide. This move by Tucker may cement the idea of Twitter as a right-wing website.
Police what he says? Like, it's not illegal to speak. It's a social media platform. You can speak there too. Anyone else can. I find this whole, misinformation policing framing just very unhealthy for our society, for democracy itself. The fear they have is that Tucker Carlson or anyone else can speak without guardrails being set up to stop people from hearing information that isn't true. That's just not the way. That's just not the way the world works. That's not the way our country works. People have broad free speech rights. And you can still criticize him. Like, he's going to be subjected to all the same, here's what the clipping. Their lives are going to get easier. The Media Matters crowd, the people who just clip Tucker segments from his show on Fox and then post them on Twitter and other places on social media saying, look at the horrible lies he's peddling. Mm-hmm. They don't even have to switch platforms now. They'll all be in the same place.
You might get community noted.
Yeah, and community notes
publicly censored.
Is something Elon seems very bullish on. He keeps bringing it up as a positive thing. So far, I too find it to be a very useful tool. I think it's the healthiest of the fact-checking options. Remember, Facebook will blur entire posts based on things ideological activists, including what we found out from what Michael Schellenberger told us when we interviewed him a few weeks ago, like a Ukrainian government agency being able to blur messaging that is a little bit more neutral or fairer to the Russian side.
Yeah, and I found out real time while we were interviewing him that if I went to try to post the Hirsch article, I got a warning from Facebook saying, do you really want to do this? Your content might be throttled if you post articles like this, if you post content like this.
That's what they want. That's the kind of, and when they're saying there, they want that level of policing, and Twitter doesn't do it. Twitter,
I don't think that we can say what they want. I think that is a problem. Many people have advocated for that sort of thing. But let me ask you this. Is there a difference between censorship and editorial oversight that many of us in the field of journalism appreciate as something that makes our writing better, that sharpens our focus? We were just making some jokes about the New York Times piece yesterday about Elizabeth Holmes and how it could have used a firmer editorial hand, as she seemed completely taken in by the fraud of this very famous fraudster. And the previous blog, I was talking to you about how, it seemed that perhaps Tucker's presence at Fox News and Fox News' exposure is part of why his notoriously bigoted head writer was eventually let go from his show. Blake Neff, he had said he wouldn't get medical care from an Asian doctor, was using homophobic slurs. Those kinds of things that were really uncontroversially a problem and not seen by most people as additive to Tucker Carlson's show. Would someone like that be forced out? If not for being part of an institution like Fox News? And maybe you don't think that's a problem, but I think a lot of people might ask whether or not Tucker was improved, like many journalists are improved, by having some kind of pushback and kind of Socratic dynamic with an editor.
Well, look, I think a good editor is a good thing. I write for a magazine, additionally to producing video content for us, and I have a great team of editors who help improve my writing. Yeah, absolutely. The concern is that there can be, too much gatekeeping. If you don't get along with your editors or they're trying to stop you from saying what you think is important, this is something that Glenn Greenwald ran up against at The Intercept, ended up going independent because he felt that he was excessively held back from being able to really unleash on what he thought were pernicious influences in the Democratic Party and law enforcement.
Specifically, Glenn left The Intercept because he wanted to write an article about the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Right.
And the editors there thought they bought into the narrative, it seems, that it wasn't newsworthy, that it wasn't verifiable, that it was contributing to election-era disinformation. And Glenn really was right about that and won that fight. There is a broader question, though, about whether or not a bad editorial decision cancels out all of the positive editorial decisions and whether or not there's some middle ground here to be
I will
found.
tell you, I will predict for you right now the direction this conversation is going to move. Because here is the fundamental difference between Tucker being on Fox News and Tucker being on Twitter as the platform where his content is hosted. The difference is Section 230. The difference is the liability protection. So if Tucker says something defamatory on Fox News, you can sue him and you can sue Fox News. When he's posting his content directly to Twitter, he says something defamatory, you can sue him, you cannot sue Elon Musk, you can't sue the platform. That's because internet platforms have a much greater protection from lawsuits. Genuinely, this was like uncontroversial until recent times, that this was a good thing. This is what allows us all to post at will.
Is that going to help Tucker, though? Because look what happened to Alex Jones. It's fine for Elon. Elon's not getting sued. But what happens when the content creator, someone like Alex Jones, has to pay millions of dollars in a lawsuit because he was sued for lying about these Sandy Hook victims?
Sure, but you're missing my point. What's going to happen is people like all those people we just played in those clips
are going to call to remove
are going to call for the end of Section 230.
I get that point. I get that point. But this is the point I'm making is that sometimes editors protect you from yourself, and
sure, I don't disagree with that.
That there's a world in which Tucker Carlson might have to find some substitute for what Fox News was doing to protect him from exactly that kind of liability to exposure now that it's not already built into his platform.
Sure. I think, so in recent years, the right has been the side crusading to get rid of Section 230 because out of a general spite toward big tech. Although also Democrats have also, so many elected officials have all agreed that getting rid of Section 230 would be a good thing. I think this is insane and would break social media as we know it, and not in a way that benefits free speech, would not benefit us in our role as hosts of this show, would be just a huge mess. This is going to switch, and now your Democratic misinfo obsessed speech policing people are going to it's going to become more partisan. It's going to be a thing exclusively to them, where right now you have a broad agreement, like Josh Hawley wants to get rid of it, Ted Cruz wants to get rid of it, and Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren and the populists on all sides, right? I bet this is going to become a more right versus liberals thing as Tucker becomes the main show on Twitter.
Well, one other thing I just really wanted to engage with, we played Tucker's announcement speech in the earlier clip, and we didn't talk about it then, but he characterizes Twitter as the last remaining free speech platform. And I have some questions about that. One, because it's not clear to me what difference there is between something like Twitter and something like YouTube in terms of the fact that it's a algorithmically based kind of a free-for-all. There are some broad guide rails, but there is a lot of inconsistency there. Elon Musk
Are you describing Twitter or YouTube
both.
right now? Yeah.
Both. That's
very characteristic of both of them.
This is what I'm saying. Is Twitter really unique as a video hosting platform in terms of free speech? When Elon Musk came in saying that he was going to resolve some of the inconsistencies in terms of content and algorithmic content and the choices that were made to deplatform people or to suppress them otherwise on the site, it doesn't seem like those consistencies have been worked out. He's been very capricious in his choice to let some people back on and take people back off based on his personal feelings. He famously censored the journalists who were reporting on the Elon Jets account. He famously ended the Twitter files because of a personal dispute with Matt Taibbi. He throttled temporarily people's ability to put Mastodon links in their tweets because he didn't want to compete with other kinds of apps. He let Bari Weiss go from the Twitter files the second she offered any kind of criticism of his choice to censor journalists over the Elon Musk accounts, and on and on and on. what do you make of this branding exercise of Twitter as free speech? And is what Elon Musk is really paying for here in part to get high-profile people like Tucker Carlson to continue to perpetuate the idea that Twitter is really different from some of these other sites when he has failed to fix the problems we all hoped he would
we don't
fix?
know that he's paying Tucker at all. He's suggested that he's not.
You think that Tucker is going to not be compensated for a show on Twitter in any way?
I don't know how he plans to monetize this, but I don't know that it's going to be a direct.
Oh, well, I wasn't saying it was direct. I'm saying that he's going to get, I presume he's not working for free.
No, obviously not.
So one of the ways that he might get monetized, and that's something else I did want to talk about. So as of, I think, April of this year, you officially are able to monetize videos on the site. I'm a very heavy Twitter user and a very heavy content creator. I haven't seen any evidence of anybody actually availing themselves of this. You have to have Twitter Blue, which we know that very few people took advantage of. You have to have be over 18. You have to have been on the site for, I think, at least a month. There are these requirements. But at that point, it's not clear to me how the video monetization mechanism actually works, because the whole beauty of Twitter, the way it functions, is that because of who you follow, things appear on your feed. And if you have to subscribe to follow someone in the first instance, it's not clear how you would get exposure to the kind of content that you would then want to subscribe to. And other platforms like YouTube that similarly rely on the algorithm to expose folks to your content usually either have you go off Twitter, off the platform, off YouTube, to start to monetize it through a Patreon or something like that, or there is the YouTube function of giving you a certain amount of money for the number of views that you get on the back end.
Because of the advertising.
Right, and so it'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out, and whether, if the Tucker model proves successful, it does have the effect of making YouTube a more common resource for video creators.
Twitter, you mean?
Sorry, Twitter, yeah. A more common resource for video creators.
Look, more competition in this space would definitely be a good thing. You know, we've run up against YouTube's terms of service in an unpleasant way in the past. So I would love to see more competition in this space. I take your point on, most of the things you said about Elon Musk a minute ago. Right, he's are ways that he has not lived up to the stated commitment of having it be a free speech site. That's probably going to continue to be the case, and we'll just have to hold him accountable when there are examples of things that don't seem very free speechy going on Twitter, but it will be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
More Rising right after this.